Hey there, welcome to the video. John Bodine here with Redemptive Psych, and today we're continuing our series on the needs of the 16 types. In this video, talking about the ISTP. Now, ISTPs are one of the artisan types. They are more freedom-based. They are they appear very independent. They think through everything with TI Hero. They're always thinking, but they're like all the types to some extent. They are more complex than people think. I think ISTPs particularly are towards the top of that list because the perception of the artisan types is that they're more simple, they're more in the moment, and that's not true, particularly with the ISTP here. So with this conversation about needs, remember we've been talking about needs having two parts. We have a need in the typical sense of, hey, I need space, I need to receive time, time to myself, I need space to recharge, I need food, the needs that we have as a human. But part of our needs are also the inverse. We need to express, we need to give, and human beings are looking for receptive audiences, for people who are receptive and appreciative of the things that we can offer. So this concept, if you want to explore it more, is in the 5 Love Languages book by Gary Chapman and the 4 Loves book by C.S. Lewis. This is a foundational idea that we're going to apply here to these functions. With the hero, ISTPs have a TI hero, logic hero. They are thinking all the time. They are great problem solvers, particularly in regards to solving problems in the environment, fixing stuff, finding environmental solutions and mechanical solutions to things. That is their extreme skill and kind of something they're born with. Now, the hero, all of our strongest functions, needs a combination of recognition because it's so capable and able to be recognized and praised to some extent for the thing that we are really good at. That is a need, right? And second is expression. We need space to express our strongest function, to express what we're best at, to express what we're always doing anyway. And with the ISTP, they have this experience often where they don't feel that their hero can be expressed, at least not nearly to the extent that they would want it to be. So the text in black under the functions is what that function needs to receive, and then the text in blue is what they provide and what they give. Okay, the first and perhaps biggest thing that TI Hero needs for the ISTP is it's basically permission to think out loud. Okay, with FE Inferior, they are concerned about hurting people's feelings, about violating social norms, about being unacceptable, about saying things that make them that others reject them for saying. You kind of have to give them permission to just think out loud. And maybe there's a certain space for that. Maybe it's not in every space, but they will put their foot in their mouth a lot of the time. They will say things that are kind of, not necessarily socially acceptable, but they being pragmatic, they being great problem solvers, have to think through it for themselves. So even though they have this experience of putting their foot in their mouth, often giving them permission and space just to air it out, that's really, really important for them. They have to use their hero. Second here is valuing help. They have quite an ability to come up with ways to fix things, and some of their ways are not always what we want to hear. Like with SE Parent, their second function, they might just challenge you to be better or be more reliable or think more carefully about it. And a lot of us don't want to hear that. But ISTPs, while they do provide accommodation, which we'll talk about later, they are also more focused on building up strength and ability and skill and intelligence in you. So their help kind of comes with a natural challenge to it, valuing that opportunity, because if you allow them to shape you to some extent, you will probably be much better off for it. Okay, and then last here for what they need to receive for their hero, give specifics. TE Nemesis, their lower function extrovert thinking nemesis, it doesn't always understand the context or the assumptions or the expectations that you may have when you bring a problem to them. So giving more details, kind of like to fill out the picture around the edges. As soon as they understand the picture, Their logic is just going to cut through that very, very quickly and precisely and figure out something. Okay, with TI Hero, what do they provide? They are very ingenious. Both the STPs are ingenious. I think the ISTP the most, probably of all the types, because of their commitment to reality, to the present moment, mixed with their logical ability. The solution or the fix or how to improve something is usually hanging right there, and they will come up with very simple solutions or ideas or adjustments that other people don't perceive or don't think about, and it'll solve the problem way more than the very complex theoretical problem might. And this is one of their issues, one of the ISTP's issues that they take with a lot of the intuitive types, is that they say they overcomplicate it. And yes, we often do overcomplicate certain situations. Sometimes the solution is not this big, philosophical, spiritual meandering. It's like, okay, you just need to change that one little thing. They are very ingenious. And last here is testing. TI Hero, ISTPs challenge everything with TI Hero. Does that make sense? That doesn't make sense. I think that's stupid. I think that's wrong. It can be unpleasant to be around at times, particularly when they're making a lot of assumptions. But when they get details and they understand the landscape, before taking the TI plow to it, they will test everything. They will reveal every weakness. They will reveal every weak argument, every poor articulation. So if you allow yourself to be tested by that, if you're a friend of an ISTP, they will make you better. They will make you so much better in your thinking, in your ability, if you can give space for them to think out loud and accept that they are really good and constant with their testing. Okay, next is the inferior, extroverted feeling inferior. Now, the inferior needs a combination of reassurance, because there's natural anxiety and vulnerability here, to be reassured, okay, that it's okay, let's try again, or it's okay, or even a positive reassurance. When they do really help someone, they're not really sure about it, and assuring them of, hey, you actually really did make a big impact here, and here's why, that can alleviate some of the anxiety. And the next is exploration. Now, I talked about in the ENFP video that another word for it might be like exposure or opportunity, of the opportunity to explore the social dynamics, the opportunity to make mistakes and to trip over unseen social norms. Allowing them to explore that and giving them space to explore the social landscape and what's helpful, what's harmful, what's funny, what's not funny, what crosses the line, what doesn't cross the line, that is going to help them a lot feel like they can relax a little bit with their empathy, with their social awareness. Okay, what does FE inferior for the ISTP need to receive? Number one is acceptance. Okay, so comparing the ISTP to the INTP, both of them need acceptance, both of them need appreciation. I think the INTP needs even more appreciation. The INTP is very much about like, they often track their effort of like how much effort they put into something, and if someone doesn't recognize that effort and appreciate that, that can hurt them. For the ISTP, it's more about acceptance. It's more about, am I valued by the group? Am I valued by you? Can I be myself? Can I think out loud? Can I be my messiness around you? Okay? So accepting them, giving them space, right? Basically not standing there with a hammer to hit them whenever they step over something that they maybe shouldn't have. So acceptance is their currency with FE inferior. Yes, they do care about appreciation, of course. All the FE users do, particularly FE inferior, but acceptance is their apex need, in my opinion. Now, permission to offend. Okay, this is a technical application of acceptance. This is related to the hero going into the inferior. Okay, they will say things at times that are offensive. They will say things that violate the social norms. They need to explore that, okay? And they might be right, and they might actually have needed to say that for someone to actually think about something in a different way. But just giving them permission to be offensive, at least within certain contexts, allows their inferior to feel like it can do no wrong. And when the inferior feels like it can do no wrong, it's willing to finally explore, and the type is willing to finally use their inferior actively where they're so afraid to otherwise. Now, what they provide, this one's kind of interesting. I put team assistance here. Now, I have this perspective of the ISTP that of all the pragmatic types, they are kind of secretly a little bit affiliative, okay? They are kind of, they are very impacted by the beliefs, the values, the standards of a group or a society that they're part of, or a political movement. I've seen a lot of ISTPs being very political, actually, and being very affiliative to their political allegiance. So they are actually pretty good team players in my experience. With sports teams, they are very selfless and sacrificial and accommodating and able and capable. I think they actually like to be part of teams more than people think. Like the INTJ, for example, is like mega super independent. ISTPs look very independent, but I think their dream is actually more of a kind of independent interdependence. So this is one of the reasons they can mistype as an affiliative type, like maybe an INFJ or like an SFJ, because in my experience, they actually care about being on a team and being somewhat a collectivist, even though they can be very independent. So that might be surprising to some of you. Some of you may disagree, but that's what I've seen in my experience with several ISTPs that I've known. Okay, and then they also provide accommodation. They're very accommodating. They care a lot about needs, like because they're so aware of the environment and the physical world and the experience of others, they give people space that they help them get what they need, and may not always be in the way that you want to receive it, but they are very aware of giving space to people, not putting on too much pressure necessarily. They can be very encouraging and restorative because of that. Okay, and last here is the critic. The ISTPs have introverted sensing critic. Now, the critic needs a combination of affirmation of their mission and a demonstration of evidence. So they have a mission. They see the world of people don't work hard enough. They don't care about their work ethic. They don't value their own reliability. They don't value their ability to do things right. And if everyone could work harder and commit to the habits and the routines and the development of discipline, the world would be a much better place. And you know what? The critic is right. And the ISTP is right in this assessment that the world would be a better place through that. So affirming the value, like that the purpose of that mission, yes, that's very important. Wouldn't it be nice if people could be more reliable and disciplined? And then evidence, okay? For you, if you're in a relationship with an ISTP of any sort of relationship, the demonstration of reliability and work ethic and valuing the task that you're given and trying to be teachable and good at learning, good at receiving, and then applying the information and the feedback, that will help you gain the respect of the ISTP. Okay, so what SI Critic provides, they do things right, particularly in work environments, particularly in environments where something is expected of them, or where they feel like they have the opportunity to bring something to the table. So this is pathways that they chose for themselves. It could be school, it could be work, it could be a certain situation. When they are called upon to be aware of other people's experience with SE parent, they do things right. They have a very high standard for performing, being reliable, for doing it correctly. Okay, so painstaking responsibility. Now, this goes hand in hand with a bottom point here where I say recognize the cost of reliability, okay? In iChild, which we're not talking about here, but the ISTPs have, they dream of being free, of being able to fly, of being able to go anywhere they want to. SI Critic is like being strapped down to the earth and being stuck in your situation and surrounded by obligations, surrounded by all these things that you need to get done. SI Critic is basically going the other way of the child. It is the surrendering of freedom. And if you have a responsible ISTP, they want to be free, but they choose to be reliable and to work hard instead. Okay, so recognizing the cost of that, they provide that responsibility, particularly in situations where they're being, where other people are reliant on them. Okay, for receiving needs. giving them details about how their experience was impactful to your experience, how their actions, thoughts, or what they shared was impactful to you. That extends to extrovert sensing parent in terms of sharing how they impacted you. And it kind of hits the critic of, yes, I was able to influence one person to kind of align with my critic's mission, okay? That's very important to them. And I talked about this already. Recognize the cost of their reliability. It costs them a lot. It costs them what they perceive is their freedom, even though with time, as they commit to discipline and the habits and the pursuits to build a life, they will find their freedom again through that. But it costs a lot. It costs a lot to put the inner child, to put the desire for freedom in its place and commit to the responsibilities and the work around them. And lastly here, challenge aggression. Now, I talked about this briefly with when the critic can be too nasty. All the critic functions can be really nasty at times. If they're just like ripping into you about your work ethic or something you did wrong, ISTPs can do that in various ways. Often it's more mild than that, but sometimes it's like a full force explosion. When they do that, they're often assuming that you're stupid also, and that you made an error. So first of all, you can just challenge them of, hey, you're being nasty and you're like judging me for all these things. And for someone who wants to be accepted, you're really not being accepting of me or giving me an opportunity necessarily, okay? But they're also probably assuming that you like didn't think through it well or stupid. They often make those assumptions. So targeting that TE nemesis as well of saying, hey, do you think I'm stupid? Like, what are you seeing? Like, do you think I made an assumption? If you ask them that question, it'll make them analyze their own expectations and assumptions and recognize that they're probably using their critic way too harshly, okay? Now, the critic is kind of harsh by default, and it has a purpose in that it's trying to transform the world. It's trying to build up something in other people. So if you recognize that usually their intention and their mission has a kind of purity to it, that will help you not take the critic's attack so personally. But again, just recognizing the appreciation for the cost that it has for them and how thoughtful they are, how much they provide to other people, how much they want to help. I think framing that and remembering that will really help you in your interactions with an ISTP. So anyway, guys, that's the needs of the ISTP. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you around.